Mr. President, it's a great feeling of accomplishment to see this bill come before us today. I introduced Senate Bills 156 and 157 to address this concern, and I'm glad to see these very similar bills getting their chance and moving forward. While I'm somewhat, I don't think it was necessary or even wise to include others outside of corrections in this, the bulk of this need, the urgency of this issue trumps those concerns about the list of those who are eligible being expanded beyond just corrections officers. But I would echo some of the concerns we heard from one of my colleagues earlier. Corrections needs to have this benefit. The job is not just incredibly dangerous and stressful, but is a job that is almost necessary to be done by those who are not yet of retirement age and who oftentimes have to leave this profession before they reach retirement age. And leaving that large gap in there is a really big problem and a major part of why our corrections officers and why our police officers, not just in Michigan, but around the country, depend on these systems to support them when they retire. I do agree that there were other methods and ways of approaching this, and I worked on this issue for many years, but the urgency that we have at corrections right now cannot be avoided any longer. We are in a crisis, a staffing crisis, and a violence crisis at our state facilities. Retention of our officers is a major crisis, and I don't know how many of you have seen the recent report to the legislature that is offered to us through boilerplate language and is required annually from the department to report on employee departures. And in the last year, employee departures who had worked for less than 1 year was 108, and those who had worked between 1 and 3 years was also 108, which is almost 50% of the recruiting class leaving. And we have people going to other states where starting pay is better, where the end of career pay is better, where the end of career benefits are better. Clearly, we need to step up our game because the situation is dangerous and people are being hurt. Officers are being hurt. Inmates are being hurt. The situation is intolerable and shouldn't be tolerated any longer. But I want to challenge us to recognize that this alone is not enough to address this crisis. We have both an urgent, immediate need, we have a short-term need, and we have a long-term need to address with our corrections officers and with the department. This is addressing the long term, hoping to keep people retained longer. But until our starting pay competes with Wisconsin and Kansas and other neighboring states, we're still going to be missing the boat. And until we address the fact that we're leaving them hanging for post-employment health care before Medicare kicks in, we're still missing the boat, especially considering so many of them get out 10 years before Medicare with significant injuries or mental health needs. We have to do more, and we need to do it soon. I encourage a yes vote today and continued work to follow.